December 11th. Hopefully y'all had a great weekend. Trying to keep this video simple and quick. The games are about to start in a couple hours. We do have two NFL games, which I'm going to include 5 good props for that. But let's get started at NBA real quick, and they're all going to be on fantasy scores, and I got 5 strong picks. And my first one will be obviously Joel Embiid. He's been averaging well over 70. He has a ceiling of 80. Against Washington, he had over 70 fantasy points. Joel Embiid is the heart and soul of the 76ers, so we're going to take over on the fantasy score. Next up for fantasy score is Scotty Barnes, who's been rising up again, and his fantasy score is at 43. I like the push equity. Usually averages between 45 and 50. He does have a ceiling of 60. Last time against the Knicks, he did go over 45, so we're going to take the over on that. Next up for fantasy score is Donovan Mitchell. And we know Donovan Mitchell is a shooter. He can get this on shooting alone. But at 45, he's been averaging well over 6 rebounds and 6 assists. So at 45, it's good value. So we'll be taking the over on that. So you can see his past 5 gone over 4 or 5. Past 10, he has gone 8 over 10. He is going against Orlando. Orlando, he had a 51.4. So he'll probably be somewhere in that 50 range again. So I'll be taking the over on that. My next one for fantasy is my favorite. He's been cashing for us for the past week and a half. The Anthony Melton at 28.5. He's been starting at 25. He's all the way up to 28.5. He averages in the mid 30s. I still like it at 28.5. Anything under 30 for him, it's golden. So I'll be taking the over on that. If you want to look at his past 5, actually his past 10, he has gone over 8 of the 10 times. As you can see, he's in the mid 30s usually. He does have a favorable matchup against Washington. He had his highest fantasy score at 39. He's probably going to regress just a little bit, but I still think he's going to go over. So I'll be taking the over on that. And my last one for fantasy score, we're going to go with Kelvin Johnson at 30. I like it. I like the push equity. So you can see he has a ceiling of 45 to 50. He is going against Houston, so it should be competitive, even though Spurs are not doing great this year. Houston has been a 500 team, but I think Kelvin Johnson is going to have a huge game. So at 30, we're definitely taking the over on that. So those are the 5 I'll be going for NBA. All fantasy scores, keep it simple. We do have a full slate. So Joel Embiid, Scotty Barnes, Donovan Mitchell, DeAnthony Melton, and Kelvin Johnson all over fantasy scores. So you guys can pick your favorite or mix and match with some NFL props that we're about to start off. And my first one, probably my favorite, we're going to go with is Dontavian Wicks at 35.5. He has a ceiling of 80. So you can see his past 5, he has 50. As you can see, he had a big game against the Chargers at 91. Favorable matchup. I think the Packers are going to run away with this one against the Giants. Giants are having a horrendous year. So at 35.5, this is definitely going to get bumped. So I'll be taking the 35.5 over on that. So my first leg for the NFL 5-man. Next one is Chris Moore, also for receiving yards at 12.5. Just 2 or 3 receptions, you easily catch this. You know, I look at his past 5, he's averaged about 30. But he has a ceiling of 60, over 60 against Miami. Even though I think Miami's going to win this game money line, I think Chris Moore is going to have a decent game with about 40-50 yards receiving. So I'll be taking the over on the 12.5. My next 3 will be fantasy scores. And my first one is Jordan Love, which I actually like multiple props from him. His 230 has already been bumped all the way from 224. It's still good. Anything under 240, I still like it. He's still going to go over. His fantasy score, obviously that's what we're taking. He's been averaging in the close mid-20s. Obviously, with this game matchup against the Giants, I think Jordan Love will have his usual game of 2 or 3 touchdown passes and about over 250 yards. We usually catch this 16.5. His passing touchdown is also a good prop at 1.5, and his pass completion is another good prop you guys can take. Next up for fantasy score is none other than Tyreek Hill, and he is at 22.5. He has a ceiling of 40. So you can see is an outstanding 112 receiving yards. It's pretty insane. But he is going after the record. So he's extra motivated, and at 22.5, definitely taking the over on this. And my last one we're gonna go with is Raheem, which I was actually making this video. He actually was getting bumped on his rushing yards at 46.5, but luckily his fantasy score is at 10, like the push equity. He's been averaging about 13, 14. But if he has a good game, if he has a touchdown, and he gets back to his average of 46 to 50 yards, he should easily cash this. In his past 10 games, he's cashed 9 of the 10 at 10 fantasy score. So we'll be taking the over on that. So those are the 5 I'll be going for NFL. 2 Monday games today. Dontavian Wicks, Chris Moore over receiving yards, Jordan Love, Tyreek Hill, and Raheem Mostert over fantasy score. So good luck. Please like, subscribe, and comment. I appreciate the support. And I'll see you guys in the next one.